Hi, my name is Lucas. This is a true story about how I faced my wife's betrayal, and I'm sharing this story in the hope that it will give more insight to my friends who are in a similar situation. And here's the beginning of this story. The day went exceptionally well, and the project at hand was completed earlier than expected. Looking at the time, I was surprised to get off work much earlier than usual. I was so happy that I thought of giving Olivia a surprise, so I went straight home without telling her in advance. Along the way, I imagined Olivia's surprised face when she saw me coming home early. Maybe we could cook a nice dinner together or watch a movie and enjoy some rare time for two. Thinking about all this, I couldn't help but quicken my pace. However, as I walked up to the house, I realized that it was unusually quiet. I pushed open the door and the house was silent. No sign of Olivia. I felt a little strange. She should usually be home at this time of day. I looked around. Everything seemed to be in order, but that inexplicable coldness made me feel uneasy. An intuition drove me towards the surveillance room. Our house has cameras in the living room and at the entrance, and usually I don't often look at these videos, but at this moment, I ghostly turned on the surveillance equipment. As the video played back, I saw a scene that broke my heart. The scene shows Olivia and Ethan sitting on the couch in the living room, their demeanor too intimate to ignore. I could see Olivia leaning on Ethan's shoulder, the two of them talking and laughing as if they were a couple in love. And this scene took place at the exact same time of day that I would have expected her to be home. I felt a wave of vertigo, as if the whole world had collapsed in an instant. I couldn't believe my eyes, much less accept the harsh truth that Olivia, my wife, had betrayed me by having an illicit relationship with Ethan, our distant relative. My heart hurt as if it had been torn apart, a pain that far outweighed any physical injury. I felt betrayed and disappointed like never before, as if I had been stabbed in the back by the person I trusted the most. I sat paralyzed on the floor, Olivia and Ethan's laughter echoing in my head. Those once fond memories became so harsh at the moment, as if they were mocking my stupidity and ignorance. I don't know what happened to me, why I trusted her so much that I didn't even notice such a betrayal. I tried hard to clear my mind, to find a rational explanation, but no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't change the harsh truth. Olivia had betrayed me, and her relationship with Ethan was more than I could accept. I don't know how long I sat on the ground. It only felt as if time had stood still. My heart was filled with anger and despair, and these two emotions intertwined together, making me almost collapse. Finally, I slowly stood up. I knew I couldn't just be defeated. I needed to face this fact and find a way to solve the problem. Although my heart was filled with pain and disappointment, I knew that life would go on. I walked out of the surveillance room and back into the empty living room. Looking at the couch that had once been filled with laughter was so jarring at the moment. I took a deep breath and tried to calm my agitation. In those days, it was as if I was plunged into a dark vortex, and my mood was low to the extreme. Work became tasteless to me, and the old enthusiasm and vigor disappeared without a trace. Every day, I was like a zombie, mechanically completing the work at hand. Colleagues looked at me with concern, but I couldn't tell them about the pain in my heart. It was then that Isabella came into my life. She was a new co-worker in our department, and although we hadn't crossed paths much before, she was keenly aware of something strange about me. One day during her lunch break, she took the initiative to walk over to my desk and asked softly, "Lucas, what's wrong with you lately? It looks like you're not too happy." I looked up at her with concern in those clear eyes. For some reason, at that moment, I felt the urge to confide in her. So, I told her about Olivia's betrayal and my pain in a nutshell. In the process of telling, I felt an unprecedented relief, as if a part of the heavy burden on my shoulders had been lifted. Isabella listened very attentively, her eyes filled with sympathy and understanding. When I finished, she gently patted my shoulder and said gently, "Lucas, I can understand your pain, but you should know that this betrayal does not negate your worth. You are a good person who deserves a better person and a better life." Her words were like a warm current that warmed my cold heart. From that moment on, our relationship began to become intimate. We began to communicate frequently, whether it was problems at work or trivial matters in life. We would confide in and share with each other. Isabella's gentleness and understanding made me feel a new kind of emotion sprouting up. We spent a lot of time together during that time. Every day at noon, we would have lunch together, savoring all kinds of food and talking about our insights into life and our dreams for the future. In the evening, we would also chat online late into the night, sharing our joys and sorrows with each other. In my frequent interactions with Isabella, I gradually found a glimmer of warmth and meaning in my life. Her existence was like a bright light that illuminated my dark days. However, whenever it was late at night, I still couldn't avoid that cruel reality, Olivia's betrayal. Although Isabella was a great source of comfort, I knew I couldn't keep dwelling on the pain of the past. I had to make a decision and take responsibility for my future. So, I began to think seriously about the possibility of divorce. The decision wasn't easy. After all, Olivia and I had had good times. We had weathered the storms together and built a family. However, when I think back to finding evidence of Olivia cheating on me with Ethan in Chapter 1, that heartache and anger comes flooding back. Her betrayal completely destroyed the trust between us, and I could no longer live with her as I once did. After much deliberation, I finally made up my mind to divorce Olivia. To ensure my rights, I decided to consult a professional lawyer. That day, I walked into a law firm and consulted a lawyer in detail about the divorce procedure and the legal problems I might encounter. The lawyer patiently answered my questions and told me that I needed to gather some evidence to support my divorce request. I mentioned the evidence that I had previously gathered about Olivia cheating on me with Ethan, and upon hearing this, the lawyer indicated that this evidence would be very beneficial to my divorce case. Back at home, I revisited the evidence. The security footage of Olivia's intimate behavior with Ethan was clearly visible, and every time I viewed it, it made my heart ache. However, I knew that this evidence was vital to me and that they would be a powerful weapon in my divorce process. After everything was ready, I gathered my courage and formally asked Olivia for a divorce. At that moment, she had a look of disbelief on her face, as if she couldn't accept this sudden decision. "Why?" she asked in a shaky voice. I looked at her with mixed feelings. I had loved this woman dearly, but her betrayal made it impossible for me to continue the marriage. "Olivia, I know all about you and Ethan, and your behavior has hurt me so badly that I can't trust you anymore. There's no future between us anymore, so let's just get along." I tried to sound as calm and firm as I could. Olivia froze. She didn't seem to think I would be so determined, let alone that I would have evidence that she was cheating on me with Ethan. She tried to explain, tried to salvage the situation, but I had made up my mind and was not willing to listen to any more of her excuses. For some time after the divorce was filed, Olivia tried to communicate with me, hoping that I would come around. However, I always stood my ground and wanted nothing more to do with her. Every time I was confronted with her entreaties, my heart was in my mouth because I knew I could not fall for her sweet talk anymore. At the same time, I began the legal process of getting a divorce. With the help of my lawyer, I drafted the divorce agreement and arranged a negotiation meeting with Olivia. During the meeting, we both had heated discussions about property division, child custody, etc. At one point, Olivia lost control of her emotions and accused me of not remembering old times. But I always remained calm and rational and stood my ground. Eventually, with the assistance of a lawyer, we reached a divorce agreement. Although I had made the divorce clear to Olivia and was adamant about it, she did not seem to fully accept this reality. In the days that followed, she made several attempts to communicate with me, each time with a pleading and contrite look. One night Olivia approached me again, her eyes red and swollen, obviously having cried. She sat down in front of me and said in a shaky voice, "Lucas, I know I was wrong. I really do. I shouldn't have done something like that and hurt your heart. But please give me a chance to make up for my mistake. I promise that I will never make the same mistake again." I looked at her, and a wave of complex emotions welled up in my heart. At one time, we loved each other to the core, and now we've come to this. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself. "Olivia, your behavior has completely destroyed the trust between us. I can no longer trust you or love you as I once did. You know, trust is the cornerstone of a marriage, and you've completely destroyed that cornerstone." My voice was a little hoarse, but my tone was firm. Tears came to Olivia's eyes again, and she held my hand tightly, as if trying to take a hint of warmth and comfort from it. Lucas, please, just give me a chance. I'll do anything for you, if you'll just forgive me. I gently drew my own hand back and looked at her tear-filled face as an inexplicable sadness welled up in my heart. Olivia, some things can't be undone. Our marriage, like a broken mirror, can never be reunited. I hope you can understand this and accept this reality. Olivia couldn't seem to accept my determination. She stood up excitedly and exclaimed, Lucas, how could you be so cruel? We used to love each other so much. Did you just give up? I looked at her with mixed feelings. However, I knew I had to stand firm and not be swayed by her pleas. Olivia, please calm down. I have decided that our marriage is beyond repair. I want us to end this relationship in a peaceful way and keep the last shred of dignity for each other. Olivia froze. She didn't seem to expect me to be so determined. She slowly sat down, tears slipping down her face once again. Lucas, I really know it's wrong, but I can't accept this ending. I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself. Olivia, I can't accept this ending either, but we have to face reality. Our marriage is over, and no matter how much we struggle, we can't change that. Olivia was silent for a long time and finally spoke, Lucas, I understand. I won't force you to forgive me anymore, but please give me some time to slowly accept this reality. I looked at her, and a twinge of pity welled up in me. After all, we had loved each other deeply. I nodded and said, Okay, Olivia, I will give you time, but we have to deal with the divorce as soon as possible. Although that marriage left me deeply scarred, life always moves forward. And in the process, Isabella grew to become an important part of my life. At first, I just thought of her as a good friend, someone to talk to. But as time went on, our relationship heated up. I found myself looking forward to every meeting with her more and more, enjoying hearing her laugh and seeing her smile. We started to spend more time together. Every weekend we would go to the movies together, discussing the plots and sharing our feelings for each other, and I was always impressed by Isabella's insights into the movies, which were always unique and profound. We would also cook together. She taught me how to make some simple Italian dishes, while I showed her the charms of Chinese food. Our busy bodies intertwined in the kitchen, and laughter and aromas filled the space. In addition to watching movies and cooking, we went on trips together. We went to the nearby mountains and enjoyed the magnificent sunrise. We went to the beach and felt the vastness and expanse of the sea. During the trip, we relied on each other and faced various challenges together. Those wonderful times are like a picture scroll, forever fixed in my memory. With Isabella by my side, I am gradually coming out of the past. I found myself able to forget those hurts and find joy in life again. Whenever I see her smile and hear her voice, an inexplicable feeling of happiness wells up inside me. As time went by, we started to plan our future together. We talked about buying a house and discussed how we would decorate our new home. Isabella liked a simple and cozy style, and she proposed to put a big bookshelf in the living room, full of our mutual favorite books. I, on the other hand, wanted to plant some flowers and plants on the balcony to liven up our home. Besides buying a house, we also talked about getting married. Although the topic was a bit heavy, we both knew it was something we would have to face sooner or later. Isabella told me that she would like to spend the rest of her life with me and would be by my side no matter what happened in the future. I was touched by the sincerity of her feelings and held her hand tightly, telling her that I would always love and protect her. Our relationship continues to heat up, and every day is filled with sweetness and happiness. I am beginning to look forward to our future and to creating more wonderful memories with her. I know that no matter how many difficulties and challenges lie ahead, as long as I have Isabella by my side, I will have enough courage to face and overcome them. As my relationship with Isabella continued to heat up, I began to move forward with my divorce proceedings from Olivia with more determination. I knew that it was not just for my own sake, but also to give Isabella a clear future. And Olivia, after previous struggles and attempts, eventually agreed to the divorce. However, this did not mean that the divorce proceedings would be smooth sailing. The moment I stepped into the courtroom, I realized it was going to be a long, hard fight. Olivia had agreed to the divorce, but we were still far apart on the division of property and child custody. The courtroom was solemn, and the judge sat gravely on the bench. I took a deep breath and prepared to state my claim. I knew that even though Olivia had agreed to the divorce, we still needed to clarify our respective rights and obligations when it came to the legal process. Your Honor, I spoke up. I, Lucas, asked the court to grant me a divorce from Olivia and to legally divide our shared property, as well as to determine custody of the children. Olivia sits across the table, her eyes cold and determined. I understand that while we can no longer continue this marriage, we both need to maximize our future when it comes to legal matters. The judge signaled me to continue my statement, and I took out documents and evidence that I had already prepared, explaining in detail the status of our marriage, the situation of our property, and the issue of child support. I emphasized that although divorce was a hopeless choice, I would do my best to provide a stable living environment for the children. Olivia's attorneys began to counter my claims with different property division scenarios and child custody arrangements. I started to feel nervous, but I knew I had to stick it out, for myself and for the children. During the trial, lawyers from both sides engaged in a heated debate. Our arguments centered on the division of property and child custody, with Olivia's lawyers trying to get a larger share of the property and our lawyers arguing our case. The tension in the courtroom was mounting, and I could feel my heart racing and my palms sweating. But I knew I couldn't back down. I had to fight for my future and the future of my children. Eventually, after a lengthy trial, the judge ruled. He upheld most of my claims, including the division of property and child custody arrangements. I felt relieved, and although it wasn't a perfect outcome, it was an acceptable one for me. The moment I walked out of the courtroom, I felt physically and mentally exhausted, but inwardly filled with the joy of victory. I knew that this legal battle had been a difficult one for me, but I had finally won my rights and my future. On the way home, I thought back to the trial. Although the process was filled with arguments and tension, I also saw another side of Olivia. She was aloof, but I saw her love and concern for her children when it came to the custody battle. This gave me some comfort that maybe our marriage was beyond repair, but at least we could still work together for the sake of our children. At the same time, I felt Isabella's support and encouragement was so important. She has been by my side during my toughest moments, giving me strength and courage. I know that I am not alone in this battle, and that she is behind me. It makes me feel so warm and happy. With the divorce proceedings over, I was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief and start planning our new life with Isabella. It was as if all the strife and entanglements of the past were a thing of the past, and I was now filled with anticipation and longing for the future. We started looking at houses together, searching for a cozy place for us to live together. Every time we arrived at a new neighborhood, we would stroll hand in hand, thinking of every beautiful moment we would spend here in the future. Isabella always discussed the layout of each room with enthusiasm, envisioning where to put the desk and where to put the sofa, while I just smiled at her with love in my heart. When it comes to choosing furniture, we are even more careful in selecting both practicality and aesthetics. Whenever Isabella found a piece of furniture she liked, her eyes would sparkle and she would excitedly pull me over to examine it. I am infected by her enthusiasm and join in the selection process. In the midst of planning for our future life, we have not forgotten to deal with the finalization of our divorce from Olivia. Although we had reached an agreement, it still took some time to put things into place on a case-by-case basis when it came to property division and child custody. I always stayed calm and rational and tried to make everything go as smoothly as possible. During this time, I also began to gradually come out of the shadow of the past. Whenever night falls, I will stand in front of the window, gazing at the starry night sky, recalling the past. Those former joys and pains have become valuable experiences in my life, which have shaped me and made me cherish what I have now. Isabella's presence gives me a new sense of hope and warmth. She is not only my partner in life, but also my spiritual pillar. We cook together, watch movies together, and plan our future travel plans together. Every day is full of laughter and cozy atmosphere. As the preparations for my new life progressed, I felt more and more that a new attitude towards life was taking root. I began to learn to appreciate every moment with Isabella more and to try things I had never tried before. We took cooking classes together, went dancing together, and went hiking together. Every attempt made me feel the infinite possibilities and beauty of life. In the process, I also gradually clarified my life goals and values. I began to focus more on inner peace and fulfillment instead of pursuing material abundance. I also began to learn to listen to my inner voice and to pursue those things that truly make me feel happy and satisfied. At the same time, I'm well aware of my responsibilities and duties as a father. Although my marriage with Olivia has come to an end, I will always care and look after our children. I will do my best to provide a stable living environment for them to grow up healthy and happy. Preparations for my new life continue, and each day is full of new challenges and surprises. I know that as long as I have Isabella by my side, I will have the confidence to face and overcome whatever difficulties and challenges lie ahead. Together, we will walk through this journey and embrace our bright future together. As time went on, I also began to reflect on what I had gained and lost in the marriage. I learned the importance of communication and how to better express myself and understand each other in future relationships. These lessons will be invaluable in my future life. Even though I've moved on with my new life, I still occasionally hear about Olivia from my friends. After all, she had been a part of my life, and we had spent quite a bit of time together. Hearing that her relationship with Ethan hadn't gone as smoothly as she'd anticipated brought a tinge of inexplicable emotion to my heart. Olivia met Ethan in the final stages of our marriage. At that time, she was probably already preparing for the breakup of our marriage, and Ethan's presence seemed to give her a new hope. However, life was far more complicated than she could have anticipated. After news of our divorce broke, Ethan's attitude began to change. He may have originally had a crush on Olivia, even some longing, but after learning that she was divorced and had children, his enthusiasm cooled significantly. He is said to have begun distancing himself from Olivia, responding to messages more slowly and gradually reducing the number of dates. Olivia doesn't seem to have anticipated this situation, and she tries hard to win Ethan back, but all her efforts seem so feeble. Eventually, Ethan chooses to break up with her, citing his inability to accept the complications of Olivia's past and present. I was with Isabella picking out curtains for our new home when the news broke. Isabella could see the momentary trance I was in, and she gently took my hand and gave me a reassuring smile. I didn't say anything, just held her hand back to show that I was okay. Olivia's personal life is in turmoil. She began to reflect on her behavior, whether she had been too impulsive, whether her infidelity in her marriage and her high expectations of Ethan had led to where she was today. I've heard that she began trying to repair her relationships with family and friends, hoping to find a harbor to lean on. However, lost trust and affection are not so easy to regain. I also began to reflect on my own behavior in this marriage. Although we were both at fault, if I had communicated and understood more in the beginning, maybe things wouldn't have gotten to this point. However, there are no ifs and buts in life. All I can do now is to cherish the person in front of me and not repeat the same mistakes. Over time, Olivia comes to realize that she has lost everything: a stable marriage, lovely children, an intimate partner, and the support of family and friends. All of this loss was the result of her own choices. I don't know if she regrets it now, but it can't be undone. I'm not gloating. After all, we were once deeply in love. I just think that life is like that. Every choice has its consequences, good or bad, and you need to bear them yourself. Now I cherish the time with Isabella even more. We love each other and support each other, and that's enough. As for Olivia, I truly hope she finds her own happiness, even though it may have nothing to do with me. Everyone has their own path to walk. I am just a passerby in her life, and she is just an episode in mine. We should all look forward and find our own future. After living with Isabella, I understand more about responsibility and accountability. We share the burden of the family together and give each other the greatest support, both financially and spiritually, and Isabella's gentleness and thoughtfulness make me feel extremely happy and satisfied, and I know I have found my true home. And Olivia's failure has made me appreciate what I have now even more. Life is short, so why not indulge a little and pursue your true happiness? I don't want to dwell on the mistakes of the past or worry about the uncertainty of the future. I just want to grasp the present and spend every beautiful moment with Isabella. This is my attitude towards life now, simple and fulfilling. I hope Olivia can also find her way out of the woods and start a new life. After all, everyone deserves their own happiness. As the renovation of my new home drew to a close, I felt it was time to take that step. In my mind, Isabella has long been more than just my companion. She is my soulmate and an integral part of my life. So I decided to ask her to marry me and give her a definite commitment to spend the rest of my life with her. On this day, I purposely took a day off work to prepare a little surprise. I took her to the park where we had our first date, the starting point of our love and the witness place of our future promise. The park was full of green trees, birds, and flowers, and everything looked so beautiful and peaceful. We walked along the path hand in hand, chatting about the past and reminiscing about every moment we had known each other. I felt incredibly happy and fulfilled because I knew that I was about to make a big promise to her. Finally, we came to an open lawn. I stopped and turned to face Isabella, looking deep into her eyes. She looked at me a little puzzled, as if sensing something. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and took a small box out of my pocket. "Isabella," I whispered, "from the moment we met, I knew you were the most important person in my life. You gave me new hope and warmth and made me realize what true love is. I am willing to spend the rest of my life to accompany you, take care of you, and protect you. Therefore, I am here to propose to you, hoping that you will become my wife and spend every beautiful moment of the future with me." When I finished speaking, I opened the small box, revealing a sparkling diamond ring. Isabella froze, and tears began to well up in her eyes. She hugged me tightly and sobbed, "Lucas, I do. I will be your wife and walk with you every step of the way in the future." At that moment, I felt incredibly happy and content. We hugged each other tightly, as if we were the only ones left in the whole world. I knew that I had found my true love, the one who was willing to spend the rest of his life with me. We decided to get married after our divorce and start a new life. Although this may sound contradictory, it has a special meaning for us. Our marriage will be a fresh start, a farewell to the past, and an anticipation and vision for the future. In the process of preparing for our wedding, we picked out our wedding dresses and gowns together and designed the invitations and wedding venue together. Every detail was filled with our love and anticipation. We hope to give each other an unforgettable wedding, and we hope to be able to go hand in hand all the time in the future. Finally, on a sunny day, we celebrated our wedding. Friends and family gathered to witness our happy moment. When Isabella walked towards me in her white wedding dress, I felt overwhelmed and happy. We exchanged rings and vows, promising to love each other forever. From that moment on, we became a family in the true sense of the word. We will face the challenges and difficulties in the future together and create a beautiful life together. Whenever I think back to that special day, my heart is filled with gratitude and love because I know I have found my other half and my true happiness. In the days after our marriage, we cherish our time together even more. Whether it's a busy weekday or a leisurely weekend, we try to make time for each other. We cook together, watch movies together, and travel together, enjoying the sweetness and warmth of the world of two. Of course, married life is not all smooth sailing. We had our share of fights and disagreements, but each time we were able to be honest and work things out, which ultimately made our relationship stronger. We learned to listen to each other's thoughts and feelings, and to give and sacrifice for each other. This mutual understanding and support has made our marriage more fulfilling and happy. As time passed, I gradually felt myself completely free from that past with Olivia. That memory had been a knot in my heart, but now it had been gently untied and was no longer my bondage. Isabella's appearance was like a spring breeze that warmed my once frozen heart. Her smile, her gentleness, her understanding, all became my motivation to move forward. We moved into our new home together, and that little nest full of love and coziness became the starting point of our new life. Every corner of our new home is filled with our love. The spacious living room is the place where we watch movies together and share our joys and sorrows. The cozy kitchen is the sweet place where we cook food together and enjoy the world of two. And the comfortable bedroom is the warm place where we talk to each other and cuddle up. Here we started a happy married life. Every day was filled with love and laughter. We greet the morning sunshine together and savor the evening sunset together. On every weekend, We go to the countryside hand in hand to experience the beauty and tranquility of nature. Those wonderful times, like photographs, are fixed in our memories and have become our common valuable assets. I have also rediscovered my purpose and motivation in life. With Isabella by my side, I work harder and strive for our future. I know that only by constantly working hard can I give her a better life and make our love more beautiful and long-lasting. Whenever I encounter difficulties in my work, I always think of her smile and those encouraging words, which fill me with courage and confidence to face all challenges. At the same time, I began to appreciate every moment with Isabella even more. We cooked together, watched movies together, and walked on the streets at night together. Those ordinary but beautiful moments made me feel incredibly happy and satisfied. I began to look forward to the future that I would create with her and to the long-lasting love that we would share. I am now completely free from my past with Olivia and have started a new life with Isabella. I am no longer haunted by that failed marriage, nor do I regret Olivia's choices. I had found my happiness and my place. When I think of that sunny wedding day and every moment we shared, my heart is filled with gratitude and love. All of this goodness came from that special promise. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. In this new journey, Isabella and I are walking hand in hand to face the challenges and difficulties of life together. We support each other and encourage each other to be each other's strongest support. I know that no matter what the future brings, we will stick together and walk through every obstacle together to create a better life for us. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.